So every day I wake up and I check the news and I want to share it with you. And the first question I ask myself is this real? Because there's so many things out there that are completely absurd and it seems to be getting worse and worse. So let me show you an example here. This is coming from Fox News just a couple hours ago. UFC is headed to the White House in June 2026 to mark America's 250th birthday. Okay, and I knew about the fight coming. It's something we've talked for the last couple of months, but this is something new. Fighters will weigh in at the Lincoln Memorial before a historic card on the South Lawn. Dana White says John Jones is back in the testing pool with Conor McGregor also eyeing the event. And I guess they're planning a cage match at the White House. So we knew they were doing this, but the question is like, is this real? Like even though I know they're doing it, just still seems so absurd. And now a weigh-in at the Lincoln Memorial, isn't this just like, my first words were like, sacrilege or heresy. My wife was like, embarrassing. That's what she said. This has also been reported in the Wall Street Journal. So again, they got more details of the planning. So I guess they are moving forward with the UFC fight. And yes, question number one, is this real? And then after that, is this like, how do we react to this? Should we be angry? Should we be upset? Should we be, frustrated? I don't know. Like, how do you feel about this stuff? I mean, it's hard to react because it doesn't feel real, honestly. I've lived through several presidents several times. Like, I don't think the other presidents, like the history you'll say is like, hey, let's have a UFC fight, cage match, and a weigh-in at the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, I don't think any president would do that. It's just crazy. And oftentimes I just wonder, are you purposely trying to make the USA a laughing stock? Is that the goal here? Then you got this. Pentagon officials fume over Trump's Department of War rebrand. And I made a video about this earlier today. I was pretty upset, to be just perfectly frank. And basically, if you don't know, they want to change the Department of Defense into the Department of War. They've already started like tearing down the signage and stuff like that. And I think Hexas is now calling himself Secretary of War. The thing is with this stuff, any of these issues, I always like to talk about the money aspects of it because I think it matters, right? So not only do I think this idea is stupid of changing names, but it actually costs a lot of money. There's 700,000 facilities, so you would have to change the signage to all one of these things, change all the stationery, which would be pretty costly, change the napkins in the chow hall, change various patches and things. There's just multiple things you'd have to change, and it would, yes, cost a lot of money. And it doesn't help America, military be more efficient or more effective just by changing the name. The whole thing is it's a stupid waste of money. But remember that for Donald Trump, this is all about TV show, right? It's not really about helping regular Americans. It's not really about pushing the country. Well, I said company. For him, it's all a company, right? For him, it's all about putting money in his pocket. But nothing he does is really about pushing the country forward. It's really, let's say it, putting his company first, right? I think I just saw recently now he's planning to have, big event at the golf course, like official White House kind of stuff. This is another way for him to grift. And, my point of view on this stuff, and I always come back to say the job situation or the economy, is even if you're a diehard Trumper, right, and you love all the, UFC fights that Trump does, etc., if you don't have a job and the economy just really tanks, I mean, how are you feeling now? I mean, it's in my opinion on this stuff is like, it's the economy, stupid, right? Is that what should we be talking about the most? And I think the biggest trick that the Trumpers are up to is to always get you focused, like not on the economy and just on other stuff. It's a bread and circus, right? Another way you could think about this as well is part of the downfall of what we're seeing right now live, like happening on a daily basis in USA, is more push towards the religiosity and moving away from the democracy. And the point being, like, if you start weakening democratic institutions, be it, courts or, the Congress, and just put all the power in the presidency and to make it kind of like a theocracy and like culty worshipy kind of thing. Because that's sort of where I see this going, where we're not even in the realm of reality or law anymore. Because honestly, the thing I always talk about would say, if you want to talk about the strength of the USA, would just be rule of law, right? It's not about following an individual person. It's about rule of law. Right? Justice is blind, these kind of things. You enforce the law equally, right, and fairly among all people, and you built your whole country on institutions like this. That's the goal of this stuff. But I guess there's some people who don't want that goal, and they just want to go back to more of like a theocracy and just head down the religious road. I feel like that's where we're going. And then what's even make it more insane, as I try to process stuff daily, is the culty dude Trump, who's pushing in that direction, is clearly not Christian whatsoever. It's obvious. And then it makes you wonder, like, who the heck falls for this stuff? I mean, I know you guys are watching the channel, probably shaking your head. Yeah, I get it, Chris. But I think, oftentimes when I chat with you guys about what's going on in the news, it's just to keep each other sane, let you know you're not crazy, you're not alone. And there is some other sane people out there. I just look at the news and see what people are saying. So, for example, and you got to call this stuff out, because the logical sort of gymnastics, I call it the mental gymnastics they do over at, say, Fox and the MAGA land is so absurd. So, for example, it was on Fox just a few hours ago. They're saying here, nearly 500 illegal immigrants were arrested at an under construction battery plant in Georgia, DHS said. Former President Biden said in 2022, the factory would create 8,000 American jobs. So let's just break down what Fox is saying. So first, they use the word illegal immigrants. You could use the other word, undocumented workers, right? It depends how you wanted to refer to these kind of things. But I don't think it's even that. You don't think it's either of those, because I read the Korean news, and they were saying that some people had B1 visas, some people were on E-Star visas, some could have been on tourist visas. Like, there's different ways that people came. And essentially, they were sent by their companies to work on said factories and train the American workers and get the thing up and running. Now, what's crazy about this whole situation is, okay, let's say you're a diehard MAGA, right? And you want to bring all the factory jobs to the USA. This is literally what's going on. It's weird, because is Fox News blaming Biden for trying to get this factory going on that was going to create 8,000 American jobs? Is we mad at Biden for that? It's like, do you guys understand? Because the whole Trump ICE thing came here and basically said, okay, stop construction, stop building this facility that's going to provide jobs for Americans. And that's why I was so upset about this stuff, because, regardless of if we, agree on whatever cultural stuff or whatever you want to talk about the MAGA, but at the end of the day, hey, if they're building something that's going to create you jobs, wasn't that your end goal? And I'm starting to wonder, is maybe that's not the MAGA or Trump's end goal at all. Maybe it's just all about burning down everything and keeping the, UFC cage matches and, happiness on TV, according to the Trumpers. Let's just party every day on TV and put gold in the White House. And then recently he had a party at the Rose Garden with him and all his billionaire friends. And the whole thing just becomes a joke, right? And, I was looking at this also. This is an article in the, I think it was Market Watch. It says, stimulus rumor goes around promising Social Security recipients an extra $600 a month. So basically, when you get these kind of rumors out there, it just shows that people are desperate in USA because the economic situation isn't good, right? And I think you guys know this stuff already. And it's sad because it represents sort of why, there's many reasons, but one of the reasons why, Trump got where he was is basically he knows there's all these desperate people out there, and he just promises you these outlandish things. And because they're so desperate, they believe it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to solve all your problems by building a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it, as if that was ever going to happen, right? And this one is even more egregious. Like, okay, I promise you a bunch of factory jobs, but I'm going to shut down the construction of said factories and send the workers back home and screw your factories. And then it's just like, okay, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore, other than I guess it's all about beat the libs and arrest people who aren't white. Is that what we're doing? This whole thing is so asinine and frustrating. I just had to get the stuff on my chest, because when I read this stuff, and I just want to show you guys this stuff again, how do you argue with this logic? And you read through the comments of the Fox News stuff, and it's like, okay, so again, you're celebrating the arrest of Koreans coming from Korea to train American workers. There's going to be 8,000 American jobs. And I don't dispute that. I think probably there were going to be that many jobs, right, if they're still going to build this thing, because you never know. I mean, over here in Korea, I mean, they're already meeting right now talking about what are we going to do. It's like a special emergency thing. They're going to try to send a team and figure it out. Because I watched it. The coverage over here is different. They were showing Koreans who were detained with, like, you know, I don't know if bracelet's the right word, but, you know, zip tie kind of thing, and hauled off to a detention center with barbed wire and all these things. And these are just like literally people coming over to help Americans and train and build this facility and get it up and running. And if you saw the show, it's called American Factory. And in that situation, it's a documentary on Netflix. You can see it. But in that situation, it was a Chinese company coming, I think it was like Ohio, and they were doing like a glass factory. And it shows like all the positive relationships that can come from when, you know, people work together from different cultures. I'm just mentioning that because this thing right here, I guess it really upset me, because you're talking about a situation that could be positive for everyone. Everyone could possibly win with this kind of thing, right? Americans get the jobs that they want. Koreans can make in some sort of investment. They can profit off, you know, said things, and have a profitable business building out, you know, Hyundai, because their cars, you know, can do really, really well in USA, and everybody wins. You get good products, right, out of it as well. That's sort of what you want if you want to cultivate business. But it's like, I don't think it's about cultivating a business at all anymore, as maybe it never was. Maybe for Trump it never was. Maybe it was just all about putting money in his pocket entirely. And I know I talk about that all the time on the channel, but, you know, there was some part of me that was like, okay, maybe he'll bring some jobs, right? Because I'm trying to be fair here. But when you see something like this, it's just like, okay, now it just, you don't even care at all about this stuff, and it's frustrating. But I think ultimately these kind of moves will end his administration and presidency, because if you completely ignore the economy and completely ignore jobs for just regular Americans, yeah, I know some Americans are in the cult, but it's hard to be in a cult when you can't even put food on your table. So that's my thoughts on this. I'd like to hear yours, and I'll catch you on the next video.